So, the premise of this anime, I'm quitting heroing, is very fascinating because even though the title kind of hints at what the story is about, it really doesn't elaborate on what you're actually going to get from the first episode. Within the first 4 minutes of the anime, I was already sold. I was already sold on saying, I'm gonna watch this to the very end. Like, I'm gonna finish this episode, and I'm gonna finish this anime series, because the first 4 minutes is just pure 100% joy to watch. And the reason for that is because of how they subvert your expectations. Like, okay, I feel like many of us that have been watching anime have seen a lot of different isekai. There's so many out there. There's countless. Dime a dozen. I talk about it all the time. There's a lot of trash. There's a lot of good. You know, you gotta really cycle through a lot to find something interesting. And because it's so saturated, many understand the typical formula of an isekai story. For instance, a hero needs to be OP, someone that gets transported or reincarnated, they need to have a ridiculous power, or they need to have the exact opposite and be completely worthless. We know these different tropes, we know these different themes, we know how the story beats usually are with isekai, and so because of that, a lot of writers within, isekai have to really mix things up, really kind of pull the rug from underneath you to make you interested in engage with the story. And so one of the big things about this type of storytelling is that it leads to a lot of experimentation. It leads to a lot of just like trying to figure out what works, what doesn't, and how they can build upon what has already been established and make something absolutely unique that stands amongst all of the countless piles of isekai that has come before it. And so that's where I'm quitting heroing comes in. So the main male character or hero of the story, he actually quits being a hero and wants to join the Demon King's army. Now, before you assume anything, he already has defeated the Demon King, or the Demon Queen's, in this case's army, before the story even began. So, technically, this storytelling that we're getting right now is playing on that type of the journey is already over. For instance, the MC has already completed his journey, and so because of that, we're getting to see the aftermath of the fighting. For instance, the aftermath of taking down the Demon Lord and trying to make the world a better place. That's where the story's taking place. It's after that. For instance, the MC, he beat the Demon's army, and, he is now he went back to his town to try to get any type of reward or anything that, he could get, praise, etc., and he did not get it, so he left the land to go to the demon army he actually destroyed himself to join them. And like I said, this is in the first 4 minutes, and that instantly blew me away, because I was just like, okay, so you're telling me that this man literally destroys the Demon Queen's army, takes out the strongest demons in existence, basically, for the world, and then he just walks up to their castle that he literally obliterated, and it's like, hey, here's my resume, can I join your army? Literally, that's what he does. I'm not trying to lie to you or anything. That's literally what he does. I'll show images on screen. He literally shows a presentation / resume that, he is qualified for the job. The best way to summarize it is, like, imagine a master's degree, like someone that has a master's degree going in for entry-level job. That's literally what he did in the first 4 minutes, and it's actually hilarious. Like, the entire episode, if you want to summarize what the episode is, it's literally him doing a job interview. That's exactly what the first episode is, and it's fun. It's a really fun episode, but it does have some serious stuff besides, obviously, the comedy, and let's talk about that. So, when it comes to the actual character, and the reason why he's doing this, I guess I should give more of an explanation. The reason why he wants to join the Demon King army, or the Demon Queen, my bad, I'm so used to saying Demon King, the Demon Queen army Echidna, is because he was actually outcasted from his country. For instance, yes, he expected praise. Yes, he expected rewards and villagers to just be happy that he quelled the Demon Lord's army. But upon his return, everybody feared him. Everybody was scared of him, and everybody just wanted him to get exiled or killed because he was just scary. And in a way, this makes sense. Think about this from a logical point of view, okay? If someone is able to destroy a monster like a demon lord, obviously that puts them on the same plane as that Demon Lord in terms of an entity as a monster or a demigod, and it can be scary to be around someone that has that much ability. Like, what happens if they get out of hand? What happens if someone wrongs them to a certain degree? They can literally demolish anything they want. Nobody really could stop the said hero, and this is a thought process that I don't think has been explored a lot within these type of stories. I know it's been explored maybe a few times, but not a lot. I'm really happy that this series is doing that, because the MC is put into a situation to where, you know, he defeats the entire demon army by himself. He's viewed as a monster, and because of that, people try to assassinate him. Obviously, they can't because he's too powerful, but still, the message, the weight of their decisions remain the same, and obviously the main character, the hero, he feels really outcasted. He feels like he doesn't belong anymore, and eventually the king summons him and is like, look, you know, I understand you saved us, I understand you helped the world and all of that, but I gotta listen to the voices of my people, and they're telling me to exile you, and the king exiles the hero, the MC, outside of the country, outside of where he actually belongs, and the only place he now can go to is, you know, the Demon Lord's army. So it's really fascinating, because it's like, imagine, you know, doing all of this, you know, and just being thrown to the side and treated like an absolute monster. It would hurt. That's where the final sequence of the episode comes up. He literally sits down in front of, like, the 4 main generals of the Demon Lord's army, and is like, the world wanted to kill me, so I'll kill the world. And then he just drinks, you know, his tea or coffee or whatever he's drinking. Heavy Attack on Titan vibes from that. But the point, though, is that I'm just like, okay, so our MC isn't like a goody-goody two-shoes. Like, he definitely has the potential possibility of doing some evil stuff, and automatically that interests me, because I think everybody knows how much I love those type of stories. I like the stories that focuses on our protag that is kind of like a villain. For instance, like Ainz from Overlord. I love that type of stuff. So this entire premise, the first episode, is really interesting. It definitely caught my attention right off the bat, but that ending, it held me. It held me from start to finish, and it kept getting better and better as I watched it. Now, let's obviously talk about a few other things. So, this series is being made by ENT Square, I believe that's who's making it, and looking at their track record, what they have actually made, they have not really had any big hits. Like, I mean, yeah, there's probably some series here that some of you recognize and maybe have watched and enjoyed, but overall, they never really had, like, some major big hits that really blew up in the entire community. So, I feel like, you know, when I look at their track record, this might be potentially one of those series for the first time in their track record that could blow up, because it's a good first episode. Now, let's talk about the art and animation. As for the art animation, I don't think it is the best. Like, I'll be honest with you, in terms of what I've seen so far from this anime season, is it easily the weakest in terms of art and animation. Now, that doesn't mean it's bad, okay? I do want to make sure I clarify. The art and animation isn't horrible, it isn't bad, but it definitely looks weird. Like, when you just look at the main character's overall facial structure, the way he looks, it looks very odd. Like, it reminds me of, like, old school design of anime, for instance, like 2008, 2007, in terms of drawing, like, characters, like fantasy characters. So, I do want to point that out. In terms of art and animation, it is very different. Like, it's kind of more old schoolish looking, and I know that's going to be very weird for some that kind of dive into this story, but besides that, it really is a good first episode. Like, hands down, it's good. Like, the opening song, if you haven't heard the opening song, I really recommend to watch it. It's a really good freaking opening. Like, I really like that opening song. Easily might be my favorite opening song so far from this season, but obviously a lot of stuff is yet to come out, like Kaguya-sama, you know, Shield Hero, which is coming out tomorrow, to also, you know, Spy Family. There's a few series that need to come out we haven't heard their opening song for, so it's up in the air if this will be the best one. But so far, from what I have listened to, this is the best opening I have heard thus far. Obviously, that's my opinion, but that's just my 2 cents on the matter. So, I'm quitting heroing. Is it worth your time? Is it worth watching? Is it something that you should dedicate some of the time out of your day to watch? Yeah, okay. Now, let me clarify. If you like fantasy, okay, if you like fantasy stories, and you're not bored with isekai stories, then definitely give this one a watch. Even if, you know what, you're bored with isekai stories, I recommend giving this episode a watch, because like I said, it's very distinct, it's very different, and it's a shining title amongst the garbage pile that we normally get. I think that this could definitely blow up depending on how it's adapted, depending on how the story goes in the upcoming episodes, if it's properly adapted, etc. I feel like if it's done right, this has the potential possibility of being one of the best anime, not the best, but one of the best anime from this anime season. But I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts if you've already watched it, if you enjoyed the episode, or if you hate the episode. Are you going to continue watching it? Or are you going to drop it? You know, let me know. I am very curious. But with that, guys, be safe, stay healthy. If you want more of my content to appear in your feed, you know, hit that subscribe button, you know, hit that bell icon, leave me a like if you like the video, etc. Be safe. Chibi out.